Shalom, shalom. I'm going to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and the bishops, a great millstone that rule well, that teach well, while learning the truth 100% according to the Bible. And I also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, the prophets, the servants scattered abroad the four corners of the earth. And shalom to the Akof, which are the sisters that are sincere, and your children. Shalom. And in today's video, as you can see, is going to go into another video touching on the topics of the things that are going on in the world, because we know that the Lord said that the men of the Lord are here to prophesy evils, right? So I'm going to go to the book of Jeremiah 28:8, a good precept that I like to pull out, basically warning you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans of the destructions which Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the Heavenly Father, and His Son, Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, is about to bring upon this earth, man. Nothing's good is coming to America, Babylon the Great. As I've said before, day in and day out, as the days progresses, the Lord is constantly bringing forth judgment and tribulation to Babylon the Great, man. Letting you know that this place is on a downward spiral, man, that this place is soon to collapse, right? So this is Jeremiah 28 and verse 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. And all of these things are coming to Babylon the Great, America, evils, pestilences, and war. So we're going to get into this video, and I'm going to basically, let you brothers and sisters listen to this video this guy uploaded, going into the things that are happening in the world dealing with the currency, how banks are closing down and all types of things. But be mindful, I'm going to let him talk.
They've seen is an uptick.
Salaki, I want to say also, fair use, that this is under the 1976 Copyright Act, that I'm not getting paid for these videos. This is only for educational purposes only. So fair use. We're going to start the video.
On the fact that they could have lost Social Security numbers, they could have lost personal identification numbers, things that affect you. This is not just about money anymore. This is about your whole life. How serious is this?
Right. And the precept the Lord just allowed to come to my mind was, guess what? 2 Corinthians 2:11. And it said, lest Satan, that word Satan meaning adversary, lest he get an advantage of us, right? Which means he gets, that word advantage means to, I'm going to look that up real quick so we can get a better understanding of that word advantage. You don't want Satan to have an advantage over you, which means have control, power, authority, right? So I'm going to look up that word advantage. All right. And the meaning of that word advantage means a condition or circumstance that put one in a favorable or superior position. And that's what you don't want to allow Esau Edom, which is the spiritual demon Satan in a physical form, to have over you. So, like I said, 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan, meaning adversary, gets an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So you pretty much just heard this guy say that a lot of these banks are beginning to close and things of that nature. But we know that all of this is by design, because we know ultimately what's to come, which is that digital system, man, which is ultimately going to lead to that MOTB being made mandatory, that Charagma, according to Revelation 13:16. I might get that precept law as well.
And how serious is a life that we tie so much into digitized forms of convenience? I think of all the apps that you have and I have on my phone. How many of those have your information? There's another bank that we were just discussing that's worried about things getting sent out via text message, via email, and people are just clicking on them. And what it is, it's your information's gone. We're also going to talk about what I personally am dealing with another provider that keeps sending me emails about how much money I owe, how much fraud I've had. I get toll-free calls as well. But we have to find protection. So what should we be doing in making sure that we're prepared? We're going to talk about that today. And you need to make sure that you are doing these things because you've worked hard for what you have. The last thing you want to do, lose it all to some kind of scam or data breach. Let's dive into this story today.
And that makes me think of this precept right here. That won't be saving anything, man. The Lord is about to collapse all those banks, man. That digital society is about to come. Thus saith the Lord, thus saith the Bible. So you won't be able to hold on to anything that this devil has control over, because none of you people in America owns nothing. Not even you Edomites that have a little power and think you own things. Only people that are really running things are these elite governments at the top, these banking families, these Rothschilds, these Gettys, these Bloombergs, these Oppenheimers, these Elon Muskuses, these Bill Gates, these Klaus Schwabs. They're the ones with the money and the real power, man. You know, and they're not going to allow you people to think you own nothing in this society. So all of that money that you people have in your banks that you try to store up and thinking is going to be saved is eventually going to get wiped all away, especially when they implement that digital society, you know, which it tells you about in Revelation 13 and 16. When that chip comes into play, all of that money stuff going to be out of the window, man. And this goes back into the Lord talking about, you know, basically why it's important for you not to store up riches upon heaven, man. I mean, store up riches upon this earth, but to store up riches in heaven, right? And I'm going to get that precept, right? And that's why a lot of people are about to be ashamed in these days we coming into, man, because they have stored up all of their treasures upon this earth, you know, trusting in this enemy, trusting in Esau, Edom, you know, and it's a lot of jakes out here like that, you know, with the same mindset, thinking that they're going to be able to preserve their items, their money, their currency, and all the stocks and things that they're involved in, that they're going to be able to keep hold of these tangible things. But the Lord said all this stuff is going to fade away soon to come, especially the times we're about to come into, right? So this is Matthew 6, verse 19 through 21 in the KJV, and I'm going to start at verse 19. It said, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, right? So all of you people out here, man, that's putting all of your money in these different bank accounts and things of that nature, thinking this money going to save you some way, shape, form, or fashion when this digital system comes, because that's ultimately what they're preparing you for. That's why you're having them saying that the banks are collapsing and that the banks is losing valuable information to their customers. That's all a facade, man. That's all a lie of this devil to ultimately bring in that chip, man. You know? So it says, where moth and rust doth corrupt. Yeah, because guess what? The treasures you lay upon this earth, these physical things are going to pass away, especially when the Lord allows that nuclear destruction to come upon this place and everything be burnt. So how you going to lay up treasures upon this earth that's going to, in time, you know, get old and, you know, be corrupted, you know? Tangible things. So it says, and where thieves break through and steal. Yeah, you work your whole life for all of this money that these people in Babylon the Great try to save up. And guess what? Just for somebody to come, you know, the Lord sent a spirit created for vengeance after you to rob you or send someone to take it from you. Now you looking stupid because you like, man, you know, I didn't worked all my life for this cash or for this house or for this car, and all for it to get stolen or broken into or to get robbed, you know. So that's why it's not wise to store up things upon this earth, man. You know, it's okay to have certain things. I'm not saying you don't supposed to, you know, take care of yourself though, but you don't want to put those items and those valuables that you have over Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, over your relationship with the Lord. You don't want to cherish these items, man. Right? And this is verse 20. It said, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. And that's what you brothers and sisters out there should be doing. Not worrying about, you know, trust in the Lord. He going to provide for you all your needs, man, the things, and he know it is what you need. The Lord said that he know of everything that we have need of when we pray to him, you know, so the Lord is going to take care of you long as you're sincere, man. He's going to make a way for you. But being out here trying to, you know, basically chase after the world and have all the money and all the cars and all of the fame and all of these things these people in Babylon the Great is obsessed with, then guess what? You're going to be, you know, you're going to be amongst those that's going to be brought to shame in these times to come. We're about to come into, man, you know. But it says, I'm going to read it again, verse 20 from the top, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, right? So you want to focus your time on spiritual things, man. Not on money, not on cars, not on accessories, not on tangible things, you know, that is soon to come is going to be burnt up in this nuclear fire. It's going to be, you know, broken and stolen and basically, you know, and when these race wars come, when Jacob's trouble come, when this hour, when there's sedition amongst men come, when people are ravaging and going through people's houses, right? When all of this chaos ensues, you know, you're not going to be able to, you know, worry about no Tesla, worrying about no bank account when all hell breaks loose, right? That's going to be the least of your worry. So, you know, that's why it's important to store up things in the heavens, right? And it says, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal, right? Because none of these, nobody has control over the heavens but Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And everything that men, spiritual men and women are doing around here on this earth is being written down and tallied down in heaven by the Lord and the angels. So they're keeping tact, you know, basically record of everything it is that you're doing. It tells you that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, you know, roughly paraphrasing. And it tells you also in the book of Proverbs 15, I believe, that the angels of the Lord, you know, are watching both good and evil, you know, roughly paraphrasing that scripture. So it's letting you know that, matter of fact, let me go to that. I'm going to go to both of those precepts I just brought up. All right, bear with me. Bear with me. All right. Salakia, bear with me. Proverbs 15, I believe verse 3, if I'm not mistaken. Right? The water to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. It was Proverbs 15:3. It tells you the eyes of the Lord are in every place beholding the evil and the good, letting you know that the Lord has his angels watching all things that you are doing. So if you're praying, you're fasting, you're studying, you're doing the work of the Lord, guess what? Those are a part of storing up your treasures in heaven. The Lord and his angels are watching those things. They're seeing what you're doing. They know if you're out here doing things that is pleasing unto the Lord. And those are going to be the men in these times we're about to come to, while a lot of these other people out here are going to be, in distress and in panic and in fear because their bank account is closing and they done lost all of their money that they didn't work for over 20, 30 years, because they have stored up their treasures upon this earth, right? And let me go to that other precept I had, Salakia. Yeah, let me get that. Bear with me. All right. The water that Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. This is Ecclesiastes 23:19, and it said, "Such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men and considering the most secret parts, meaning your mind." So the Lord is watching a lot of men out here and women and seeing the things in which it is you are doing. And all of these people out here in Babylon the Great, they're storing up their treasures on the earth, by, working all of these expensive jobs, having their own businesses, putting all of their time and energy into these things of this earth that they don't think is going to pass away soon. These are the people that's going to be in panic and in fear and things of these natures for the times that we're about to come into. Let me go to 2nd Esdras 8:50, right? And it says, 2nd Esdras 8:50, "For many great miseries, right, shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride." See, these people are walking in the pride of life, man. They're worried about, pleasing the carnal things. That's why they store up riches upon this earth, because they think that, oh, man, the earth going to be here forever. Well, the earth is going to be here forever, but this rulership, Esau, Edom, the wicked being in rule, is not going to last forever. It's actually coming to an end before our face. So, these people here on the earth, they thinking, I'm gonna save up this money for my kids, this, that, and the third. I'm gonna have an inheritance for them. So when I die, they can be good, all of these things. That's why they're trying to store up their treasures and things upon this earth. But, man, they just don't know that soon to come, all of this stuff is about to be eliminated, man. That United States currency, that dollar that a lot of people worship out here, right? It's about to be, it's about to be exiled, man. That thing is about to collapse, man. And like I said, these things must come to pass, because that is what's going to be to happen to usher in this new system, this digital system that Donald Trump said America will be number one in ruling in, which is going to be Salakia, the currency of that digital society is going to be that might be, man, that Charagma, that MOTB, right? So I'm going to get back to this video, Salakia. All right, we're going to listen to what else he's saying.
About that today, and you need to make sure that you are doing these things, because you've worked hard for what you have. The last thing you want to do, lose it all, is some kind of scam or data breach.
Well, a lot of people are going to lose it.
This video starts right now.
Salakia, that's his little
tell YouTube,
his little
please,
ad
to share this message. And really,
intro.
this message is important because it affects every one of us. We all live in a digitized world. Think about all the apps you have on your phone. Think about all your banking. I have literally a tab on my phone that's called banking. And it has several different accounts or several different apps that utilize for budgeting and necessity, things like that. Think about how much software and how many medical institutions, how many banks, how many places of business has your information. I always get on to my wife, because my wife is one of those people that if there's a email newsletter that's going to save her some money or she's going to get some coupons, she's like, sign me up, and she sends it in. But I tell her she's got to be careful there, because sometimes those emails go to fraud and those emails go to scammers. And so that's why we're making this video. I want to make sure that we understand where we're at. Now, Before we even get into this video about some of the substance with Bank of America, I want to tell you two stories right quick that happened to me just this last week.
Salakia, we're not going to get into what else he's talking about his personal life and things of that nature. But as you brothers and sisters can hear, basically what he was talking about, that's what these banks are basically doing, man. And, that's all set up and designed by Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, because it's ultimately going to be to bring in that MOTB, which I talked about. So, I'm going to get Revelation 13 and 16 and 17, and we're going to read that. And that's what all of this stuff is leading up to. That's why, they're saying that all banks are shutting down and, people not being able to have access to certain information and it being lost in the system. That is all the devil's way of trying to get these people to accept the new system, which is going to come, that MOTB. And like I said, this is ultimately Yahweh Hashem Yahushua controlling this, because this is what's going to, be for the people that are not of the Lord's elect. They're going to take this chip and they're going to be destroyed, as well as with a lot of these heathens, But, this is Revelation 13 and 16, and it said, and he, that he mean Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, right, causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, right? So that goes into what I was just saying again. You heard this guy was talking about, basically, you good American people out there don't want to lose your money and all of these different things. But, hey, this is what's going to happen when this chip come in. Guess what? Rich and poor. So it doesn't matter how much money you have, how much, you stored up into this earth and put up for your kids and for yourself, thinking that you're going to benefit something. Because guess what? You're going to have to be sitting in the same line with the people that are poor when you have to take this chip. So that just goes to show you that none of you people out here are above anybody, But, hey, the Lord said that, like I said again, pride, man, pride goeth before destruction and the haughty spirit before a fall. A lot of these people in America are about to be brought back to reality very soon when the Lord brings this system, man, when he brings in this new digital system. A lot of these people that worship this dollar, that worship cash, that worship this material wealth and things of that nature, they're about to be brought to shame, man. Right? And it says, free and bond to receive a mark. That word mark goes into the Charagma, an incision inside of your flesh, man. Basically something they're going to take a hypodermic needle and they're going to stick it inside of your skin and basically put it inside either your right hand, left hand, or your forehead, man. All right. So it said to receive a mark, right, in their right hand or in their foreheads. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, right, save he or she that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So you see how that's going. Now you see why these banks, right, which is tied to buying and selling, the currency system, is saying that, people, bank accounts and things of that nature, your information is being stolen, because that's one of the things that they're going to use to ultimately slide in this digital society by telling you that, oh, man, you need to take this chip because, you don't want nobody to hack your social security, all type of ways. This devil, it tells you his words were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart, roughly paraphrasing, because that's what this devil's trying to do. He's ultimately trying to control all of you people out here, man, especially you Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, the Lord's people. He's trying to control you. That's why he's going to make you take this MOTB, man, And he's going to bring it in a way that he's going to try to make it seem like, it's good for you to take, or it's something that you can't live without, just like he did with that C-19 in 2020. He was giving out money for people to take it. He was giving out free burgers, Popeye sandwiches, all types of different deceptions and methods to try to get people to take it. It's going to be the same thing when he implement this chip. Then once he see that a lot of people are not taking it to what he want, then ultimately that's going to resort to, him coming down and basically forcing it upon people and people being beheaded for not taking it. Right. So that goes into what it talks about in Revelation 2:10, I believe. Right. Let me go to that. Revelation 2:10. Bear with me. This is Revelation 2:10. And it says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer, right? Behold, the devil, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried. And that word tried go to being tested. Because this is ultimately Yahweh Hashem Yahushua testing his elect, which will make it through this fire, right? They're going to make it through these tests, right? As the Lord has said in St. Matthew 24:13. But he that shall endure unto the end shall be saved. So the elect are going to be those that endure through this test that is coming upon this earth, right? And it said, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, be thou faithful until death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So that's the Lord basically telling you that a lot of men are going to lose their life, because they basically don't take this chip, man. It's Charagma. And that's ultimately what all of this stuff is leading up to, this IMOTB being made mandatory. So I'm going to read this verse again. Revelation 2:10, and it said, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer, right? So you will ask yourself, why are people going to suffer in these times? It's because they're not going to take this chip, this MOTB, this Charagma, this incision inside of their head or their forehead or their hands, right? So due to them not taking this, they're going to have to suffer. They're going to face persecution. They're going to face being beheaded and other types of things in which the Lord is going to bring, right? So it says, behold, the devil, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, shall cast some of you into prison. Why? For not taking his mark, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life, right? So, that's basically everything I wanted to go into on this video. That's basically what times it is that we're living in, brothers and sisters. We see that the implementation of the MOTB is about to be made mandatory very soon, man. And you can see through, like I said, all of the things in which they're doing in the currency system. Like I said, I just posted a video about a week ago of Donald Trump going to the digital currency meeting and basically telling people that America is going to be the leading country in biometrics and things of that nature. And you got a lot of these different banks posting the same exact thing. The Elder Apostle Tahar just did a video about maybe 2-3 weeks back where MasterCard was basically talking about doing the same thing before a certain time period. They trying to have everybody with biometrics, which is going to be the new way of payment, which is that MOTB, man. So, right? But these are the times we're living in, man. The signs of the times. We're at the end of this man's rulership, because this is going to be his last thing, basically the last form of him trying to get control over the Lord's people is going to be implementing that chip. Then ultimately the Lord going to allow him to chip a few people. Then the Lord is going to come and take this devil down. So Lord's will, you brothers and sisters are edified. In this video, like I said, it was only a quick hit. Letting the times that which we're living in, that this devil is speeding up these things. And the Lord is ultimately the one speeding it up for the elect's sake, as it says in Matthew 24 and I believe 23. If I'm not mistaken, let me go to that. Matter of fact, I'm going to end it with that. That's why you see time and the earth passing by so quick, man. Matthew 24. Bear with me. All right. I could be wrong. I think it's probably 22. All right. Salakia. Is it 22? All right, the waters of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. It was. Right, this is Matthew 24 and 22. Whence is why you see these prophecies and things fulfilling, because it's ultimately for the Lord to deliver his elect. And it says, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So that's why you see in these events speed up, prophecy fulfilling more quicker. You're seeing the start of the Third World War already happening. All of these prophecies, the implementation of the MOTB, which is coming very soon, which is about to be made mandatory, is all for the elect's sake. So the Lord can deliver his elect and save them from this nuclear destruction that is to come upon America, Babylon the Great, and various other countries. But these are the times we're living in. And I'm going to read Habakkuk 2 and 3. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, right? The vision, meaning the prophecies, is yet for an appointed time. But at the end, it shall speak, right? And it's starting to speak now to the men that have the eye salve, the unction, the Holy Spirit dealing with them to be able to see that. We're already living in these times. We seeing them, Donald Trump preparing his digital system, him and Elon Musk and all of these other elites. We're seeing these things happening. We're seeing the start of World War III. We're seeing the beginning stars of the race wars, the class wars, the civil wars, Jacob's trouble. We see these things, right? And it said, and not lie, though it tarry, right? Which a lot of people of the world think it'll never happen because, men been on the highways and hedges teaching this same word for years, decades. So, of course, the people not going to believe it's going to happen, right? It says, wait for it because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And we're starting to see that it's coming, man. So it's no longer tarrying. It's beginning to show itself. So, that's pretty much everything I wanted to say with today's video. Like I said, it was just a quick hit on the things that are happening. Lord's will, you brothers and sisters, was edified. To the next time, I'm going to say shalom.